I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Give me $3,000 as a baby gift. We're best friends, so it's only natural, right? It was Kylie, my best friend, contacting me for the first time in 3 years. I was utterly shocked by her words. What? You got married? Yes, I did. When I asked in surprise, Kylie responded cheerfully. Just as I was about to say congratulations, she added. I guess the reason you and Sean couldn't have kids was because you weren't attractive enough. I was frozen by her words. Kylie had somehow married my ex-husband, Sean, and had a child with him. Meg. You're coming, right? As I fell silent on the phone, Kylie's triumphant voice reached my ears. I wanted to say things like, how did that happen, or, you never contacted me before, but I knew that saying anything would be exactly what Kylie wanted. I took a deep breath, determined not to fall for her provocation, and opened my mouth. Sure. I'll come with my husband who is a lawyer. And so, I headed to her house with my husband, Seth. Little did anyone know at that moment that Kylie's contact with me would throw both her and Sean's lives into chaos. My name is Meg. I was born and raised in a rural area in Appalachia. I spent my time in my hometown until high school, and then I moved to New York for a job. Living alone in an unfamiliar place from a young age. I remember feeling very lonely living in New York without any friends. Therefore, it became a routine to call my friends and family back home after work. Even after a few years, I never got used to the environment, and I had no acquaintances outside of my coworkers. Then one day, a turning point came in my life. When I went to visit a coworker's house, I met a man who was her husband's friend. His name was Sean. He was born and raised in New York and worked as a doctor at a college hospital. Sean was the same age as me, and to a country girl like me, he seemed very sophisticated and attractive. Sean also took a great liking to me, and soon after meeting, we started dating and got married the year we both turned 30. When our marriage was decided, I first reported it to my friend from home, Kylie. I met Kylie when I was in elementary school. We went to the same school for junior high and high school, so she was my best friend. Kylie was the only daughter of a local politician. She was a well-protected young lady. Moreover, she inherited her father's leadership qualities and decisiveness. However, because of that, for better or worse, she always thought she was the best. On the other hand, I was indecisive and lacked confidence. That's why I admired confident Kylie, who always took the lead. Even though we didn't have many opportunities to meet after I moved. My feelings of considering her a dear friend didn't change even after moving to New York. That's why I first called her to share the news. Kylie? Guess what, I'm getting married. What? No way. To that boyfriend. Sean, right? Of course, I had told Kylie about Sean. Although they had never met, Kylie knew his name and occupation. Yes, that's right. Marrying a doctor? You're hitting the jackpot. Amazing. Kylie seemed excited when she heard my news. I couldn't help but laugh. I mistakenly thought her excitement was her way of celebrating my marriage. It's not like that. Even though he's a doctor, he doesn't earn that much yet, and he doesn't have much savings. So it's not exactly hitting the jackpot, but that's okay. I'm not marrying him for money anyway. That's why I casually denied Kylie's words. However, it seemed that my words had somehow annoyed Kylie. She fell silent for a moment and then spoke in a cold voice. Huh? What's that? Are you bragging? Trying to be humble? Saying that love isn't about money or something? What? After all, you kept saying you wanted to come back here, but you never did, and now you're marrying someone from over there. You must have been looking down on us from the countryside. Her tone was not warm or joking. Instead, it felt contemptuous, and I hurriedly responded. That's not what I meant. I really did want to come back, and I never thought I would end up getting married here. Even if you say that, the fact is that you did. Aren't you just riding high, now that you've become a city person? It would have been much better if you had just been happy about marrying rich. No way. I was at a loss as to what to do since Kylie got upset just because I reported my marriage. Well, I guess you'll have a grand wedding. I'm looking forward to the invitation. Kylie said this and then hung up, leaving me speechless. Did I really say something that bad? I immediately tried to call her back, but she didn't answer. Even when I sent her a message, there was no reply. After contacting Kylie, I intended to report my marriage to other friends as well, but I lost all enthusiasm for it. Despite this, I couldn't bring myself not to invite Kylie to the wedding. Our parents had known each other for a long time. Moreover, I had invited other friends from back home, so I couldn't leave out my best friend, Kylie. After that phone call, I tried contacting her several times, but she didn't respond. The wedding invitation was returned, but it was a simple one with only a checkmark indicating her attendance. I was so appalled by Kylie's childishness that I decided to apologize to her at the wedding for my poor communication, and to naturally distance myself afterward to avoid such issues in the future. Then the wedding day came. Kylie arrived in a flashy outfit, acting as if that phone call had never happened, and greeted me with the other friends. Wow. Sean is so handsome. I imagined a boring introvert when you said he was a doctor. At her first words, I was left gaping. Sean, standing next to me, burst out laughing when he heard her. Kylie, right? Thanks. Please continue to take care of Meg. Feel free to visit us in New York anytime. And then, Sean also said such things, which shocked me even more. Sean knew about what had happened between Kylie and me. I had even told him that I planned to distance myself from her in the future, but now he had invited her by saying, "Please take care of Meg, and feel free to visit us," which would make it impossible to keep that distance. Really? Thank you. I've been looking forward to meeting you, Sean, and of course, I'll take care of Meg. Moreover, Kylie spoke familiarly to Sean and lightly touched him. Her actions seemed a bit more intimate than before. Seeing that didn't make me feel good at all, but I knew that if I said something, it would ruin our wedding. I forced a smile and managed to get through the situation. Kylie continued to dominate the scene. She approached Sean's colleagues, one after another. I watched anxiously from my table. It seemed like she had come to the wedding to fish for men. Some of our guests included Sean's colleagues and bosses. It was hard to focus on the wedding, with the worry that Kylie was being rude to Sean's coworkers. Because of that, by the time the wedding ended, I was exhausted. Even so, I won't be seeing Kylie for a while. Thinking that made me feel a little more at ease. However, I was naive to think so. Meg. I've come to visit. Once a month, Kylie started coming to our house. Saying that and staying for at least 2 nights each time. Haha. Sean, you're so funny. It's fun when you come over. And then their drinking party would start. I'm not good with alcohol. Inevitably, I had to clean up the living room after their drinking sessions. Naturally, Kylie never brought snacks or drinks. Preparing those things was also my job. After a year of this, I said to Sean, "I'm thinking of telling Kylie not to come anymore. It's hard for you to always entertain her, and honestly, it's tough for me to make the bed and do the shopping every time." Then Sean said, "Don't say that to a friend who comes all the way from your hometown to see you. I'm fine with it, so let her keep coming." Had Sean forgotten that I wanted to distance myself from Kylie? It was as if I was the bad guy. Even after several more times of discussing my relationship with Kylie, Sean didn't take my concerns seriously. A few days before Kylie's monthly visits, I started feeling unwell and found myself disliking her more and more, and I hated myself for it. Despite these issues, Sean and I were living a relatively happy life together. Although we occasionally fought about Kylie, we were generally content. One day, when Kylie was visiting, Sean was out, so it was just the two of us drinking. Another non-alcoholic drink? You're not pregnant anyway, so just drink. Yeah, but I'm not good with alcohol. So, are you planning to get pregnant soon? Kylie suddenly asked me such a sensitive question. Her casual tone about such a serious topic made me smile wryly. Oh, yeah. I'd like to have a baby. Maybe you're lacking feminine charm? You'd better hurry before you're too old. Kylie laughed loudly as she said this. Even if she was drunk, it was incredibly rude, and feminine charm had nothing to do with it. I couldn't help but snap back at her. What? Kylie, you're the same age as me. You're not even married yet, so you shouldn't be talking. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? Do you think I'm just a country bumpkin? I didn't say that. With no one to stop us, we ended up arguing. Kylie pounded the table as if she was about to grab me. Don't get cocky just because your husband's a doctor. If you had married someone like my dad, a politician or a lawyer, with a higher income, then maybe. You've always looked down on Sean's income too. That's not true. At that moment, Sean returned home at a bad time. He frowned at me with a suspicious look. Is what Kylie said true? Have you been looking down on my income? Yes, it is. She said you couldn't even save money. Unbelievably, Sean believed Kylie and the two of them glared at me. That's a misunderstanding. When Kylie accused me of marrying for money, I said your income wasn't that high and that I didn't marry you for that reason, but I didn't say it like that. Even so, don't you realize that it would hurt Sean's pride? How can you not understand that? Kylie was clearly trying to take Sean's side and gain his support in our matter. I ignored Kylie. It was more important to clear up Sean's misunderstanding and fix our relationship. Sean was silent for a moment and then sighed. But honestly, we can't say our relationship has been going well. As Kylie said, my pride was hurt. Let's discuss our relationship. No. I sincerely apologized to Sean in front of a smirking Kylie. I told him that I didn't fall in love with you because you were a doctor, and that my feelings for you were genuine even now. But Sean only said that he was disillusioned with me after hearing my words. In the end, we got divorced. I tried my best to avoid the divorce, but Sean's feelings wouldn't change. So, I reluctantly accepted the divorce for the sake of his new life. And 3 years had passed since the divorce was finalized. During that time, I hadn't contacted either Sean or Kylie. Some friends asked, why are you keeping away from Kylie and not just Sean? But I couldn't forget how Kylie had seemingly orchestrated the divorce of her best friend's marriage, and I had no desire to contact her. One day, however, I received a call from Kylie's number, which I had kept stored in my phone. I nervously answered, wondering what she wanted. Hey. How have you been? Even though it had been 3 years, Kylie sounded as casual as ever, which threw me off for a moment. I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Give me $3,000 as a baby gift. We're best friends, so it's only natural, right? I was utterly shocked by her next words. What? You got married? Yes, I did. When I asked in surprise, Kylie responded cheerfully. Just as I was about to say congratulations, she added. I guess the reason you and Sean couldn't have kids was because you weren't attractive enough. I was frozen by Kylie's words. Ha! Both Sean and I are really looking forward to seeing you again, Meg. With those words, I realized. Kylie had somehow married Sean and had a child with him. Meg. You're coming, right? As I fell silent on the phone, Kylie's triumphant voice reached my ears. I had many things I wanted to say. Like, how did this happen, and, you never contacted me before, but saying any of that would just play into Kylie's hands. I took a deep breath, determined not to fall for her provocation, and opened my mouth. Sure. I'll come with my husband who is a lawyer. What? So, you and Sean live here now? Yes, we live in New York. I see. Then please give me your address so I can visit. Kylie seemed to be caught off guard by the unexpected turn of events, but I kept talking one-sidedly. After getting her address, I ended the call quietly to avoid any more questions. A month later, on a weekend, I visited the address Kylie had given me. I didn't ask when the baby was born, but since she contacted me right after, I assumed the baby was still a newborn. I waited a month before visiting, thinking it would be easier for her. While heading to the house, I spoke to Seth, who was driving. Sorry for the trouble. I know it's your day off. Seth smiled and shook his head. Don't worry about it. Actually, I had remarried about a year ago. We met through a popular dating app. Seth isn't what you'd call traditionally handsome, but he's incredibly kind. We hit it off immediately after meeting. After we started dating, Seth told me about his job, which surprised me. He turned out to be a lawyer. Seth had left the profession and income fields blank on his profile because, as he put it, I wanted to meet someone who liked me for who I am, not for being a lawyer. I did wonder why those fields were blank, but there are occasionally people who leave them unfilled. So, I didn't pay much attention to it. Let's put it in the GPS. Do you have the address? While stopped at a red light, Seth, who was driving, asked. I took out the note. And when I looked at the address again, I gasped. No need for the GPS. I'll guide you. Really? Okay. The car slowly started moving again. I looked at the address once more. The address written there was unmistakably the address of the apartment where I used to live with Sean. No wonder I remembered it after hearing it just once. I hadn't realized it at the time because I was so overwhelmed, but the thought of returning to that house made me a little nervous. When we arrived at Kylie's house, Seth and I went inside together. Nice to meet you. I'm Kylie, Meg's best friend. Kylie greeted Seth with a smile at the entrance. I can't believe you got remarried, Meg. Why didn't you tell me? I felt bad being the only happy one, and was considerate of you. Kylie laughed as she said that. Considerate? Did she feel even a little guilty about marrying Sean? If that were the case, I would have preferred she told me properly. I forced a smile and asked Kylie. More importantly, when did you get married, Kylie? I had no idea things were like this between you two. Oh, about a year and a half ago? We ran into each other by chance. Kylie said without making eye contact with me. It was my first time back in my former home in a long time. It seemed Sean wasn't home. Honestly, I was relieved since I didn't want to see him. While Kylie was feeding the baby, she asked Seth questions like, "What do you like about Meg?" I thought it was none of her business, but since Seth was answering her questions politely, I didn't join the conversation and instead looked at the shelf. There were many photos of Kylie and Sean on display. Among them were photos I had taken when Kylie used to visit every month. There were also photos of their outings and pictures of Kylie with a big belly. Looking at them, a doubt arose in my mind. For having supposedly run into each other by chance, a year and a half ago, the photos were continuous. Their clothing varied from spring-like, to short-sleeved, to autumn-like, to winter attire. Additionally, their hair color. Even considering the photos I took more than 3 years ago, there was no gap of a year and a half. Could it be that they had been seeing each other even when I was married to Sean? That suspicion arose. And memories from those days came flooding back as if confirming the suspicion. Their closeness and the atmosphere between them. Once I started thinking that way, it all seemed to point to the same conclusion. I slowly turned around. Then I noticed a familiar look in Kylie's eyes as she looked at Seth, and anger welled up inside me. It was the look of a predator, eyeing its prey. Fearing that she might try to take Seth too, I spoke to Kylie in a firm tone. Kylie. Did you perhaps steal Sean from me? At those words, Kylie's eyes clearly darted around. Then she burst into laughter. Haha. So that's what you've been thinking while looking at those photos? Stop laughing and answer me. You're really stupid for not noticing until now. But thanks to that, you met Seth, didn't you? So it worked out well for you. Kylie readily admitted it. I was furious, but she was holding a tiny baby in her arms. Seeing that, I couldn't bring myself to hurl insults and bit my lip. Anyway, you ended up preferring a lawyer over a doctor, didn't you? That's why you divorced Sean so easily. Her words filled me with frustration. I had never chosen either Sean or Seth based on their professions. Although I was happy to have met Seth, that was a separate issue. After divorcing Sean, I went through a really tough time and was so shocked that I couldn't eat anything. I blamed myself a lot, wondering what I had done wrong. And now, finding out that Kylie and Sean had been together all along made me feel utterly mocked. I fought back tears as Kylie laughed triumphantly. Seth, this girl loves to go after rich men. You're young, so you'd be better off finding someone else. No way. I looked at Seth in desperation. Seth muttered with a serious expression. I see. I think I understand the situation now. I was shocked by his words. I thought Seth was disappointed in me. In contrast, Kylie smirked. It was just like that day when Kylie had sided with Sean and attacked me. But then, Seth spoke clearly. So, Kylie, you were involved with Sean while he was still married to Meg, weren't you? Yes. It's really stupid that she didn't notice. Kylie laughed, and I snapped. Alimony. I'm going to demand alimony. Are you stupid? The statute of limitations for alimony claims is 3 years. It's too late now. This was exactly why Kylie had contacted me. It had already been 3 years. She thought that what they had done to me would no longer matter. Seth began to laugh. Kylie, you're well informed. Of course. It's obvious. Meg's ignorance is laughable. But Meg still has the right to make a claim. Both Kylie and I turned our attention to Seth. Even if the divorce is finalized, she has 3 years from the day she learns about the affair to file for alimony. Meg found out today. So she has 3 years from today. Kylie turned pale. Huh? No, no way. That can't be. You can't claim divorce alimony, but you can certainly claim alimony for infidelity from both of you. Please reflect on the hurt you caused my wife. Meg, let's go. Wait, this is a misunderstanding. While Kylie panicked, Seth smiled at me. I felt relieved and grateful that Seth didn't fall for Kylie's manipulation, and stood by me until the end. I wiped away the tears that had fallen. Seth, kind and calm, worked hard to heal my wounds and began the process of claiming alimony from the two of them. Simultaneously, calls kept coming to me non-stop. Calls from Kylie and from an unregistered number. When I answered one out of curiosity, I heard Sean's voice and immediately hung up. Thanks to that, we got Sean's phone number, making the paperwork smoother. On a later date, we visited their house again. These are the documents regarding the alimony claim. We brought them for you to review. Since it was a Sunday, Sean was also at home. As soon as we arrived, both Sean and Kylie apologized. Meg, I'm really sorry. Please withdraw the alimony claim. Kylie suddenly apologized meekly, but I gave her a cold look. I kept quiet for your sake. I thought it would hurt you. I thought we could take this secret to our death. Yeah. And I only told you because you seemed happy. Even Sean, whom I hadn't seen in a while, was speaking as if they weren't at fault. The two of them continued to drone on about how they had kept the secret for my sake. So, you do realize you're at fault? Of course. Then pay the alimony. However, they fell silent at that. There was no point in discussing further. An apology without any sincerity meant nothing. Seth began to explain the alimony claims in a matter-of-fact manner. Anyway, Sean will pay $30,000. And Kylie will also pay $30,000 to Meg, making a total of $60,000. $60,000. We can't pay that kind of money. The amount Seth mentioned turned both of them pale and then red in anger. However, Seth remained calm and explained the rationale behind the amount. Sean listened, still saying, "Even so, that's too much. We have a child. If you had any sense, you wouldn't demand such an amount from a couple who needs to raise a child." Kylie complained repeatedly. If they had any sense, they wouldn't have cheated with their best friend's spouse. Ignoring their own faults, they kept shouting. To silence them, Seth raised his voice for the first time. What you did was that malicious. Taking it to the grave, my foot. You just gave in to your lust. Stop making excuses. That shut them up perfectly. I was truly grateful to Seth. Understood. Sean muttered softly. What, Sean? Are you serious? Where are we going to get that money? I'll handle my share. You can borrow from your parents or something. What? I can't do that. They began arguing in front of us. Sean indeed had an income as a doctor. But Kylie had no income. She might have worked back home, but the plane tickets for her monthly visits to our house must have been substantial. I didn't know when she quit her job, but she wasn't the type to save money. Plus, her father was a politician. Even if they had money, he wouldn't cover his daughter's infidelity expenses. Well, we'll be leaving now. Let us know when you've made the arrangements. Prompted by Seth, I left the house with him. As we shut the door, I heard Sean's angry voice. Why did you tell Meg? There was no sign of remorse. Hearing that, Seth and I laughed as we walked away. We walked to the nearby parking lot and were about to get in the car when... Wait. We stopped at Sean's voice. You go ahead and get in the car. I nodded yes, and got into the car. The window was slightly open and I could hear their conversation. I didn't want to hear anything, so I tried to close it, but I couldn't start the engine from the passenger seat, so I just sat there quietly. Seth, you know my situation. Please do something. Hearing Sean's words, I lifted my head. This and that are separate matters. Sean spoke to Seth as if they were acquaintances, which puzzled me, but it really felt like a conversation I shouldn't be hearing. Still, I couldn't help but overhear it. It was irresistible for that conversation to reach my ears. What's the remaining amount now? Tell me. Here. What if someone hears us? Just tell me. My life depends on this. Sean urged Seth in a panicked tone. Seth lowered his voice and said something. Sean, confirming what he heard, spoke again. Ivy's husband is owed $20,000, and Mina's husband is owed $11,000 in installments, and now $30,000 to Meg? There's no way I can pay that. I was stunned by Sean's words. And to think you used to be Meg's husband. If this continues, it's only a matter of time before Kylie finds out and demands alimony. Please. Don't tell Kylie. Of course, I have a duty of confidentiality. I won't go out of my way to tell her. But can you keep it hidden forever? Hearing Seth's words, Sean buried his face in his hands. Seeing this, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. From their conversation, it seemed that Sean had been repeatedly unfaithful. It had been discovered by the husbands of the women involved, and he was currently paying alimony to them. It's often said that fools with money only bring trouble upon themselves, and it seemed that Sean was the biggest fool of all. Are you working just to pay alimony? At your age, it's time to grow up. I know. Then make sure Kylie never finds out. If you don't take care of her, you'll lose both your family and your money. Seth left those words and headed toward the car. Sean called out, Seth, wait, but Seth didn't stop. Sean, meeting my gaze from the car, stood frozen in place. It seemed his little pride couldn't bear to show me his pathetic state. Though, it was already plenty pathetic. The alimony for Meg cannot be reduced by a single penny. Thank you. With those words, Sean slumped against the concrete wall. He was likely pondering what to do next. I hoped that the same energy he had used to hide his affairs would now be directed toward alleviating the suffering he had caused. Sorry to keep you waiting. Seth got into the car with a smile on his face. I simply greeted Seth with a smile too. Thanks to Seth, I was able to receive alimony from both Sean and Kylie. Kylie had asked Sean to cover her portion of the alimony, but Sean didn't have the means to do so. In the end, she turned to her parents for help. Kylie's parents knew that Sean was my ex-husband. But they had never imagined that Kylie was the cause of our divorce. Indeed, as Kylie had told me, they believed that she had reconnected with him a year and a half ago. It turned out that Kylie had lied to her parents as well, and they were furious upon learning the truth. My parents told me that Kylie's parents had come to our house to apologize. Kylie's mother cried, saying it was her fault for spoiling her too much. Her father said he would never let her cross their threshold again. Even good parents don't always raise good children, I thought, as if it were someone else's problem. Eventually, it seemed Kylie also learned about Sean's alimony situation. It was ironic for her to blame Sean for his infidelity when she had been unfaithful herself. But I hoped this made her understand a bit of what I went through. Though Sean's infidelity wasn't ongoing, and they decided to rebuild their relationship for the sake of their child. With Kylie's high pride and Sean's unfaithful nature. I could only hope, as if it were someone else's problem, that at least their child would grow up properly. After receiving the alimony and settling down, Seth and I went on a trip. The hotel on a southern island with a view of the ocean helped heal the wounds and hardships I had endured. I'm now at an age where having children is considered late. It would be a lie to say I have no regrets about missing the chance to have children, but I feel very fortunate to have met Seth. I expressed my gratitude to him once again. If I hadn't met you, I think I'd still be alone, in the depths of sorrow. Meeting you has made me truly happy. Thank you for being with me. I wanted to be with you because you saw me for who I am, Meg. Thank you for being with me. Let's continue to take care of each other. Seth said this to me. I thought that I want to see many different landscapes with him, without ever forgetting the happiness I have now.